Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Beaton, joined by the one, the only, the fantasy master Lothario, Gray Albright. How's it going over there, Gray?
Good, man. I have on my progressive lenses. Uh, so as a good way to start for all the Zoomers who are listening. It's a good intro. But so if you're watching this on YouTube, that's why I'm looking at the bottom of my glasses like an old man. I'm so old. You know who's not old though? Nick Kurtz. What?
Yep, Gray. Nick Kurtz was called up for the A's. He's got 5 games now. He's hitting 250. We really haven't seen him play a lot in the minors. I mean, he barely spent any time down there. He has a grand total of 32 games in the minors. Obviously very, exciting prospect here. Number one in the A's organization. Pretty consensus, I think that is. What are your thoughts on Nick Kurtz? What was your fab bids for him?
Yeah, so he was highly contested this week in Fab. I don't know if people can see that even if they're watching on YouTube, but I'm making the farting motion with my hand under my armpit. I did not. I came up short on Nick Kurtz. Here's the thing. I don't know if it was my lack of enthusiasm for Nick Kurtz as much as it still hurts that I spent $300 in Fab for Cam Smith, a 7th outfielder in most leagues. So yeah, I was probably a little bit gun shy on Nick Kurtz. I was also I really wanted Augustin Ramirez as well, but also it's pretty gun shy. They went for way higher than my bids. They went for Nick Kurtz went for $313. That's out of 1,000, but still that's a lot when you're spending over 300. Augustine Ramirez went for $231 in one of my leagues. Obviously, that's out of 1,000. And in another league, Augustin went for $282 and Nick Kurtz went for $168. That feels a little bit more in line with where I think their bid should have been. I feel like Augustin, well, I guess it depends on needs, but I kind of like Ramirez a little bit more than Kurtz in a 2-catcher league. And, Nick Kurtz, as much as I like him, and I do like him a lot, I like him a lot more if it's like free off of waivers versus spending $300 in Fab, because it's like at the end of the day, he is a first baseman. So, do you not have a first baseman? and also, it's like, I guess he's going to hit at the bottom of the A's lineup more. I mean, maybe hits 6th or 7th at best. I don't know. It's hard for me to work up in the enthusiasm to spend $300+ in Fab, but that's not to say I don't like them. It's just, it feels like that's a little bit high. Like in one league where Nick Kurtz went for $300, I got Josh Bell for $14. So, I'm not saying Josh Bell's that exciting. Obviously not super exciting, but I was the only one who bid on him, but still $14 out of 1,000. That's a free roll. And I also got Eric Wagaman for $14 as well. I'm giving away my free roll Fab bids. I always bid $14. Is it not obvious? I also I spent $14 on Jack Kochinowicz. Kochinowicz for a streamer. But that's irrelevant. I like Nick Kurtz and Augustine Ramirez a lot. I was nowhere near the bidding on them. Did you get them in any league?
I did not get them in the league either, Gray. I tried to get Augustin more than I tried to get Kurtz, basically for team needs. If you listen to Gray and I, we don't really draft catcher very high. So, when a top catcher comes in the league, I'm generally trying to get them. That being said, it's still catcher. I didn't really want to spend north of like 20%, and that's generally where he went. So I didn't get either of them in this week. We kind of talked about both of them last week when we were going over the call ups. But yeah, I think both could be useful potentially. I think the problem with Kurtz, we said, was where is he going to play? So far, he's played first base every game that he's played in. They've shifted Soderstrom to the outfield, which feels very poor for defensive purposes. And I believe Rooker got one game in right. So it appears the main switch is going to be Soderstrom playing outfield, which would be nice for his eligibility. And please, oh Lord, just put Rooker in for like an out at the end of the game in the outfield would be fantastic. If you could do that like 6 more times.
If we're doing dream scenarios, can he get one out behind the plate for like 10 games? I'm just asking.
I mean, Soderstrom technically could. He came up a catcher. Maybe he could. At least enough for a Yahoo League eligibility. I don't know.
Since we're doing this, can Ellie De La Cruz get catcher eligibility?
No, he can't, Gray. That's not allowed. Actually, he's way too athletic to be behind the plate. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun week in Fab. There was a bunch of stuff going on. I kind of got shut out in some of mine, Gray, just because I didn't want like some of the depth pieces, and I didn't pay enough for the top guys. So it was like, oh, I didn't get anybody this Fab period because I guess I didn't want anybody bad enough. Somebody else that you could potentially be looking at, Gray, is following the Tyler Glasnow injury for the Dodgers. We know the Dodgers are full of potential arms that could come in and take rotation spots. Tony Gonsolin is returning. He could be one of those guys or the guy to replace him. What are your thoughts here on the Dodgers rotation and Gonsolin? And then I guess we could talk about Glasnow as well if you want.
I think Glasnow, I mean, it's shocking that he got injured. This is my shocked face. Are you if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my shocked face. Whoa. Wow. I can't believe it. Oh my God. Tyler Glasnow's injured? Hold up. What? What? Wait, what? Wow. Never would have imagined. Next thing you're gonna tell me is Blake Snell's injured. That would be crazy. Wait, hold on. Something's coming through my earbud. What's that? Oh, he's injured as well. It's crazy. The Dodgers are actually down to 3 starters, and 2 of them can only go 4 1/3 innings. That's okay though. They've only spent $700 million to win the pennant. That's not a worry, is it? Hey, Dodger fan. Hey, Dodger Nation. Is that a concern? Let's see. Glasnow to me looks like he's worth a flyer in just about every league, barring like 12-team mixed and shallower. So let me say that a different way. So in a 15-team mixed league or deeper, I think Tony Gosling is worth a flyer. I don't really have high hopes for a guy who has thrown like 20 innings over the last 2 years. So, I mean, I don't know what you're going to get basically, but I would take the flyer in a deeper league. In reality, I would guess you're going to get around an 8, a little over 8K per 9, a little over a 3 walk per 9. That usually comes out to about a 4 ERA. So, mostly 15-team mixed league where the matchup is good. And, that's assuming he's able to throw more than 5 innings, which I don't even think we're going to get immediately either. He has 4 games started in the minors this year, and he's thrown 14 innings. So, you're probably going to get like a 3-inning start for at least a month, maybe. Which means he'll be the Dodgers' number 2 starter, huh? No, actually, he'll be number 3. Does Japan have anyone else they could send the Dodgers? Because they really need a pitcher. Yeah, I don't know. So I like Gosling enough, I guess, for a deeper league. But in a 12-team league, I'm just watching and seeing where he what he does.
Yeah, I agree. You could take the shot on him, but it's been so long since we've seen him. Really don't know what we're getting from him. I will say in his last minor league outing, he did go 5 innings. Again, that was in the minors, so take that for what it's worth. But, he could potentially go 4 innings, 5 innings. I don't think it necessarily takes him a month to get the 5 innings, Gray. But no, I understand where you're coming from and that he will probably be limited. At least to start, and then Kershaw in theory is back in about 2.5 weeks.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself to cackle. Okay, continue.
In theory, Kershaw's back in about 2.5 weeks. So even then, like by the time Gonsolin is to the point you would feel comfortable throwing him in a 12-teamer, he may get replaced in the rotation. He also may just get hurt, as every Dodgers pitcher seems to. So we'll monitor that. And again, they only have 3 pitchers right now, so he may just stay in the rotation even when Kershaw returns, depending on how long this issue with Glasnow takes. It's a shoulder issue that he says he deals with from time to time, and it just flares up. That's something you really love to hear from.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself to cackle again. Okay, sorry.
All right, great. Let's jump into a fun game. If you remember the old VH1 shows, where are they now? But let's go into that. Let's go into that theory right now, Gray, with some players who started well and some players who haven't started well.
We're doing pop-up video for for fantasy baseball.
Look, Gray, if I could easily do pop-up video editing, I would, but that's a whole lot more work than you pay me for right now. So we're not going to go into pop-up video, but we're going to do Where Are They Now, Gray. Pete Crow-Armstrong, my boy, has been phenomenal to start the season for the Cubs. Actually, he started kind of cold, but then he got just as hot as the sun. Right now, he is number 5 on the player rater for the season. He has 5 home runs, 12 stolen bases, 22-19. He's hitting 286, 328, 527. He's got a 23% K rate, a 5% walk rate. Barrel, hard hit, average exit velocity are all up a little bit. He is definitely not any kind of StatCast monster. 342 BABIP may be a little lucky, but also with his speed does not seem out of the realm of possibility. What are your thoughts on Pete Crow-Armstrong so far this season, Greg?
I really like him. I like him as maybe as much as you. I don't know. It's hard to gauge because I know you are a Cubs fan, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But I do. I love him. I think he's.
You
great.
Also think he's the second coming of Jesus?
So you like
him Easter came for Pete Crow-Armstrong?
You like him a bit more than I do. I think he's probably. I said in a write-up last week after his, I think he had a big game, and I wrote up Pete Crow-Armstrong, and I was saying that I think he has an outside chance to be like a top 25 player. Like he can get into that mix of outfielders like Wyatt Langford, James Wood, Jackson Merrill, who are going in like the 25 to 35 overall range this year. I love him. I think he's like coming into his own. His strikeouts look great. Nothing really is jumping off the page. Like his BABIP's a little high, but he's so fast. Like you mentioned, I think he's got like a solid chance to be like, I want to say 20 homer, 40 plus steals. And that's like, I mean, that's top 20 numbers easily, if not top 10. Like, that's really good. The only thing really holding him back from fantasy value is the fact that I believe he hits seventh most days. So it'd be nice if he moved up to like, it's like if Wyatt Langford and Pete Crow-Armstrong are doing the exact same stats, but Langford's hitting second or third and Armstrong's hitting seventh, then Wyatt's going to be more valuable, just like, just because of the lineup placement. So it hurts a little bit on Armstrong's value that he's hitting so low in the lineup, but it's working for him so far. And his counting stats haven't really hurt from that. So, because the Cubs are scoring 20 runs per game. So there's that. Actually, there's another thing that I just thought of. Like, remember last year when Wrigley Field was a pitcher's park? What happened there? Someone went in, like Pete Crow-Armstrong was like, before the season starts, let's go in and destroy the humidor and see what happens. I like Pete Crow-Armstrong a lot. So yeah, maybe 20 homer, 40 steals, 245, 255 average. Good. It's good stuff. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if the Wyatt Langford comparison holds weight right now because he doesn't have 10 runs or RBIs at the moment, despite hitting second in the Rangers lineup. But they are also dead last in runs scored right now in the majors. You got to think the offense turns around at some point in Texas. So I'm with you. But for now, Wyatt's not scoring any runs or RBIs, and Armstrong is. That being said, Langford's been great to start the season as well. I'm going to throw some names at you for these guys while we're going through the where are they now phase, Gray. Would you rather Pete Crow-Armstrong or fellow breakout potential Sal Frelick?
Armstrong, easily.
Okay, I would too. What about PCA or either of his fellow Cubs outfielders, Seiya or Happ?
I would go PCA.
Okay. Jazz. Would you take Jazz or PCA?
I would do Jazz.
Okay. And I assume you're going to go Duran over PCA for now?
I am. Duran, yes.
Okay. So, it seems like you're high on him, but not necessarily sticking him in the top 2 rounds yet. Maybe more in the fourth or fifth round type area for now.
Yeah, probably. Like I mentioned, the three Merrill, Wood, and Langford, where they were going in drafts. At this point, I would have PCA behind all three of them, but much higher than he was going in drafts. So yeah, like probably in the 50 top 50 range.
Okay, so yeah, so third, fourth round, somewhere in that area. I think like the Merrill Churios were going earlier than that in draft season, but I agree that he could eventually join them, but we just haven't seen it as long as we have from them. Moving on to our next guy on this list here, Brice Turang, Gray. I thought I liked him in draft season. Apparently, I did not like him enough. He is number 7 on the player rater. He has 3 home runs, 8 stolen bases, 28 runs, 15 stolen bases. He's hitting 319, 367, 414. He's got a sub 20% K rate, a 7% walk rate. Is there a single second baseman you'd rather have rest of season, Gray?
I don't know. I'd probably still go. No, I don't know. Actually, I don't really like Kettle Marte.
Jazz?
I'm trying to think. I guess it's like between him or what?
Like Jazz or Altuve, I would think like.
Yeah, no, or I was going to say Mookie Betts. I believe he has second base eligibility.
Oh, yeah, for Yahoo.
So, but honestly, I don't really love Mookie Betts right now. It's honestly going back to PCA and now picking up Turang. the one thing that really this could be confirmation bias. I'm not completely sure what confirmation bias is, but this could be it. I really think that the narrative coming into this season seemed to be really obvious on both of these guys. Super fast, make good contact. Brice Turang especially, he stole 50 bags last year. The fact that he was going so late in drafts, it was almost 100% contingent on the fact that Jason Martinez at Roster Resource, who does a great job, by the way. I'm not putting him down. He does a great job, but I mean, I believe he had Turang listed as the 8th or 9th hitter in the preseason. So I think that might have cooled people a little bit on Turang. I don't know for sure. It might have, though. And now Turang's hitting leadoff. He still has the 50 steal speed, as we saw. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, trying to find a second baseman who's better than Turang, it's really – and I'm including Mookie Betts. It's not easy to do. I don't know, man. If you had Mookie Betts and I had Turang, would you trade Mookie Betts for Turang? I think I would. I think at this point, I think Turang is the best second baseman. And yeah, I mean, not to be a broken record here, but coming into the year, this was obvious. He had 50 steals. There was literally the only thing that I think that was keeping him down in drafts was the fact that people thought he was going to hit 8th or 9th. I honestly think that's the only thing that was stopping him. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, Turang or Albies, I'm doing Turang. Why would I mess with Albies? Turang or Ketel Marte is probably, I mean, at this point, I think Ketel Marte is probably the second best second baseman. It's either him or Mookie Betts. And then Jazz is probably third or fourth, depending on what you think of Mookie right now. But yeah, I like Turang a lot. I loved him coming into this year. Every league where I have Turang, I mean, it's no surprise. I have Turang in leagues. I'm doing well in those leagues. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough when you look at it. I would probably take Betts, just track record, but that's really what it is. It's just banking on Betts' track record and scoring a ton of runs, and just the counting numbers that come with being in the top of the order for the Dodgers. That's really it. If we're looking at strictly home runs and stolen bases, I mean, I don't know anybody at second base that's going to touch Turang's combination of those two. And as long as he stays at the top of the lineup, even if it's the Brewers, he's going to score plenty of runs. I really like Turang, and if you could get him for any of those guys we named, really, other than maybe Betts, maybe Ketel, because he is coming back. He's supposed to be back tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday. He's supposed to be back on Tuesday. And he looked like he was hitting well. No power yet, but it was limited sample. But those would be the only two guys I'd even consider. And I'm probably not, honestly, moving Turang for Ketel because I'm worried he's going back on the IL, and I wasn't paying up for Ketel in draft season anyways. So, yeah, let's move on to the next guy here, Oneil Cruz, number 9 on the player radar. So we've covered 5, 7. Now we're on the number 9. He has 8 home runs, 12 stolen bases.
That's odd.
17 and 16. He's hitting 258, 366, 548. He has a 26.8% K rate, 14.3% walk rate. He has the number 1 average exit velocity right now, third best hard hit rate, and 10th best barrel rate, all of which are career best for him. I remember people being really appalled at me taking him in the 3rd round, Gray. I'm sorry to all of you who were burned last year and didn't understand that this was going to happen. I don't know. What are your thoughts here, Gray? I feel like we are the 2 most biased people on Oneil Cruz potentially.
I know. I actually, I have Oneil Cruz in one league, and unfortunately, I mean, at the time, I thought it was fortunate, but unfortunately, I had the 3rd or 4th pick in so many drafts this year, and I ended up taking Elly De La Cruz. And for me to take Elly De La Cruz and then turn around and take Oneil Cruz, even though he had outfield eligibility, I just didn't do it because I went different ways. But I did love Ellie. I did love Oneil Cruz. I loved Ellie as well. But I think Oneil Cruz is he goes back to the narrative of like, if you have a guy with immense talent, just draft the talent and hope it comes together in the right way for fantasy, because it's like he was always so talented. It was just a matter of time that he was going to put it together. Now, like I do think now in retrospect, it was probably like his ankle was probably bothering him a bit last year, and he just like he took it kind of easy on the steals, whereas now he's at 100% and he's running like crazy, which is great. I mean, it's awesome. I love to see it. I think he's a guy who I would be like, assuming he stays healthy, I would be shocked if he's not a top 12 guy in drafts next year and just has a great year. I would assume 30-30 at this point, if he stays healthy, is very likely. Maybe 30-40. Yeah, we're seeing the year finally it's coming together, the year that we all expected from Oneil Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, it's been phenomenal having him. The outfield eligibility certainly made me feel a little more comfortable drafting him because, like you said, there was any number of shortstops in the first couple of rounds that looked really good on your roster. Oneil Cruz or Teoscar Hernandez?
Oneil Cruz.
Oneil Cruz or Jazz Chisholm?
Oneil Cruz.
James Wood?
Oneil Cruz.
And Jackson Churio or Oneil Cruz?
I would still go Churio, but they're close.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything, all those guys you said. I mentioned James Wood in there. Let's talk about him, Gray. Number 23 on the player rater for the season, 8 home runs, 3 stolen bases. He's hitting 257, 361, 543, 26% K rate, 13% walk rate. He is 15th in average exit velocity and barrel rate and 19th in hard hit rate. We mentioned you just mentioned you'd rather have Oneil Cruz over him, but it's probably not by that much, right?
No, not at all. No, I love James Wood. I'm glad I took him where I did. I mean, I was in the camp of taking him over Wyatt Langford and Jackson Merrill. And I actually had them in that order. I had Wood, Wyatt, Merrill in my ranks, and I happily took Wood in every league where I could. I have him in a lot of leagues. I'm really happy with him. I think if you watch James Wood in a bat from James Wood for like one game, one at bat, you'll see that he's just like so talented with like how the ball jumps off of his bat. I mean, it's just like easy 400-foot homers the opposite way, just like you. And that's at 22 years old. I mean, he is so incredibly talented. Unfortunately, I mean, his steals aren't going to be quite as good as Oneil Cruz, so that's why I had him behind Oneil Cruz. But I do think that like he could probably get to 15, 20 steals, which is still great. I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a 30 homer, 20 steal, 260 year. I'm thinking like, not too far off from what we saw from Jackson Churio last year. Just an absolutely great year. The lineup isn't quite as good as some other lineups. Not that Oneil Cruz's lineup is that great, but yeah, I mean, I do like James Wood a lot though. I had him above those other two outfielders, and I still would have them. Nothing's changed for me in that regard. Even though Wyatt Langford looks great, I mean, I will say he looks good, but James Wood is just like, I mean, so incredibly talented. So yeah, I'm loving it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only way that you messed that up was just by not drafting those guys, because Wyatt's been great, James Wood's been great, Merrill was great while he was healthy, and he's coming back. Churio, we can throw in that list as well. Like, the other way you really screwed that up was to believe that they weren't going to be good again. I mean, we kind of talked about it. Would you have Wood over Duran?
Wood or Duran? That's a tough one because steals tend not to slump, but Duran he hasn't looked amazing coming out of the gate, but I still really trust Duran to get hot and to come on at some point. That's a tough one. I would go Duran still, but they're real close.
Yeah, that might be a more needs-based one. Do you need a little bit more pop, or do you need steals? I think if I was ranking, I would rank Wood higher just because he's going to give you both a little bit more than I think Duran will. But no, I completely understand that one. Would you have Wood or Churio, since that was kind of the holdover from
Churio?
Okay. Let's move on to somebody who is ranked above all of those guys for most people, Gray. I don't know, if they would still do it. And then I'm going to ask you if you would still do it once we get to the end of this. But he is 100, and I'll give you a name here in a second, but he's 110th on the player rater. He has 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases. He's hitting 248, 374, 396. He has a 58% ground ball rate and a launch angle under 7. His hard hit, average exit velocity are down from last year. Barrel rate way down.
Before you say his name, can I ask you if I can give you $500 million rights to this player?
I think
I can Venmo you it.
That'd be a steal, Gray. Obviously, $500 million would be a steal for this player. If you haven't guessed yet, this is Juan Soto. Yeah, Gray. It's not been a great start to the season for him. Definitely not compared to what he did with the Yankees last year. I will say it is kind of a similar numbers to what he did in 2023, where he went 35-12. But that was a very up and down season. I owned him that year, and it sucked owning him that year, Gray. You were out of it by the time he was good. So
I think actually Juan Soto was blaming Aaron Judge for not, or blaming the lack of Aaron Judge, which was unfair to Pete Alonso, obviously. I think probably in retrospect, I don't think Juan Soto would have said that. But I do think that it's not a lack of Aaron Judge as much as a lack of that ridiculous park across town in the Bronx. I don't think people realize how Yankee Stadium is just so good. And it's not only that it's good, but I think it instills a confidence in especially lefties. I mean, it's just a ridiculous park. It's so, the fact that it's so down the line, it's such the short, the short porch in right. It's just so crazy that I don't think people, I think there's a certain element of people that get, they see a guy in real baseball sign a huge contract, and that somehow gets them more excited for a player. And it's at the end of the day, you can find as many examples of guys who have signed big contracts and have been terrible as the guys who have signed terrible contracts and been great. Like Pete Alonso, he's been great and he signed a 1-year deal, but Juan Soto signed a long, there's no correlation really between the two. I think the biggest difference for Juan Soto is probably the park, because even though I think he can hit the ball out of any park. Don't get me wrong. He can still hit 35 homers even in Citi Field, but it's just not going to be as easy when you're looking down the line and you see a totally different, the fences are just not Yankee Stadium's just so good for lefties, especially. Anyway, I think he'll be fine. I think you have to start readjusting what you're going to expect from him, though. I think probably, at some point he'll go on a run and he'll get hot and he'll probably hit 330 for like 2 months. But, you might only get 30. Like there's like Juan Soto has years in like not too distant past where he hit 29 homers one year, 27 homers another year, steals under 10 bags some years, actually most years. So if you get 27 to 30 homers and 10 steals and 290 average or 280 average, I mean, that's good. It's not bad. Is that really top 5 overall? I don't know. I don't know if it is. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I tend to be down on Soto in draft season, and I mean, I'm not going to try and take a victory lap here because he will put together some stretch that will be just ridiculous at some point this season. But like when you bet on a guy who's giving you average and power only, he needs to be able to do those in mass quantity. And like we've only seen that from Soto a couple of times, like where he really gives you 35, 40 home runs. And he's only ever hit over 300 once in a full season. So it's not like you're banking on him giving you like a 340 average or anything. So much of last year was 128 runs, 109 RBIs. And I just didn't see that happening with the Mets. I still don't see that happening. We've talked about a number of players today, Gray, PCA, James Wood, Oneil Cruz, and we've kind of thrown Churio in as the topper. Where in those four is he fitting for you? You still taking him over PCA, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I think I would still take him over all the guys we talked about today, except for Oneil Cruz, probably. I don't know. I mean, it's tough because, I mean, at some point he is going to get hot. You have to assume, and that is like we're speaking from a point where it's like, at the end of the day, he does put up top 20 numbers every year, but. Like you said, I mean, the homers, steals, and the average aren't really, they don't ever get absurd outside of like last year for his homers. And that was a very specific year, with in Yankee Stadium. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, looking at what his numbers should be, it should be 100 runs, 30 homers, 100 RBIs, 10 steals, 275 average. So that's roughly top. Like it's basically what you're hoping to get from like where you draft a top 20 overall player who's like a Bryce Harper or something. So. Yeah, probably Oneil Cruz over him out of the guys we've talked about, but no one else. I don't think I'd put anyone else over him. But that isn't to say Brice Turang, PCA, and James Wood could end up over him. I wouldn't feel comfortable taking one of them over Juan Soto at this point.
Yeah, I could potentially talk myself into Wood. That would be the only one I think I would maybe throw in that discussion. And again, that's more just because I kind of think James Wood is essentially what you're gonna get from Soto minus. I don't know. There's maybe minus some counting stats, just team based. But like Wood walks a ton. He's hits for average. He hits for power with a little speed. Like. That one's pretty close for me. I'd have to think about that one a little bit. But I think I might go James Wood. Another top player who has gotten off to a slow start is Gunnar Henderson Gray. He is currently in the 400s on the player rater. He did start the season on the IL with an intercostal strain, so that's a little bit of a, not fair player rater number because he's missed games and it's a cumulative player rater. But in 20 games, he's had 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases. He's only hitting 220, 256, 378, 29.1% K rate, and a 4.7% walk rate. K rate is definitely the highest of his career so far. He does have a career best average exit velocity and hard hit rate, at least. What are your thoughts on Gunnar Henderson?
Yeah, I think Gunnar Henderson's one of those. Actually, people are starting to call him Grounder Henderson on Razzball, which is, unfortunately, it's kind of accurate. He became Eric Hosmer in the last month, which is not great. I do think there might be a little bit of he didn't have spring training. Then he had the oblique, so you don't know how much that was a factor. And he didn't have spring training, so that might have slowed down his start. I think he's probably a buy low at this point. I mean, the numbers don't look incredible as far as launch angle and ground balls. Grounder Henderson hasn't been great with ground balls, if you can imagine. But his hard hit looks okay. His it's like his BABIP's down a little bit, and his hard hit, it looks good. So assuming he comes, I would assume he comes out of it. So I would buy low, but yeah, I mean, it's not great. I'm a little bit concerned, So you never want to have your first pick struggle. That's never a good place to be. But yeah, I would probably buy low if I could.
Yeah, I think it depends on what that buy low looks like. Obviously, if you drafted him as a top 5 player, I don't know that you're going to be able to buy considerably low on him. The high ground ball rate is concerning at 50, just under 51%. I will say the launch angle is actually up from last year. So in regards to launch angle, the ground ball rate doesn't really make sense. Ground ball rate is one of those things that takes a little bit of time to normalize as well. So I'm not necessarily concerned about the ground ball rate with the launch angle factored in there as much as I am the strikeout rate being 29% and the swinging strike rate also being up from last year. Those kind of point me towards he's not right yet. And maybe he will be. Maybe there's another IL stint. But that would lead me to maybe drop him, from at least from where I had him in draft season. I'd probably put him more towards, I don't know, mid-second now. If you offered me Corbin Carroll for him or Oneil Cruz for him, it's going to be a hard time for me to pass up either of those to take a potentially injured Gunnar Henderson.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. It's like a bird in the hand, man. It's like, forget that. Corbin Carroll's looked great. I would take Corbin Carroll in a second. I wouldn't mess with that. It's like I feel like you're not you specifically, but if someone were to do Gunnar Henderson trade for, if they trade away Corbin Carroll to get Gunnar Henderson, I feel like you're just galaxy braining yourself into something that's doesn't make sense really. It's why are you trying to outsmart people? just keep Corbin Carroll, man. Actually, one of our writers, I think in our Discord asked, I think they said something like Oneil Cruz or Acuna, I think it was. And I was like, oh, Oneil Cruz. I mean, he's doing well. Why are you trying to galaxy brain yourself into oh yeah, Acuna's going to come back and be a top 5 guy? It's like you already have a top 5 guy potentially. Don't overthink it. So yeah, and then I went on such a long rant. It was Corbin Carroll. Who was your other one?
I said Corbin Carroll, I wouldn't do it, and then I said Oneil, I think was the
Oneil
other
Cruz. One. Yeah. I would keep Oneil Cruz over Gunnar Henderson too. Yeah, I mean it's like Gunnar Henderson or Vlad Jr. I think because Vlad Jr. has been like pretty boring, and this is Vlad Jr.'s like every other year he hits like 15 homers for the year. So, I mean, it's like Gunnar Henderson or Vlad Jr. I'd probably go Vlad Jr. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, they're close though. Like maybe I'd do Gunnar Henderson if I, felt like I was going to do a buy low. It's not really that much of a buy low though with Vlad, to be honest. I mean, it's like, that's kind of like fair. I mean, that's like a push basically. If you were doing Gunnar Henderson or James Wood, again, it's like you got a bird in the hand, man. It's like why are you messing with this? But yeah, I mean, I would rank Gunnar Henderson above James Wood, if whatever that means. But yeah, I don't know.
They're close. I would too on that specific one. But it still would be hard for me to pull the trigger and trade away James Wood for somebody who's hitting 220 right now. But I think I would, just for, again, Gunnar is so freaking good when he's healthy, Gray, among the best in the game. So there's definitely a risk reward, and you kind of have to play that out for yourself. Like, where's that number for you? Some people may go ahead and still trade draft day value for him. Again, I think I probably have him more towards like the early second round, middle second round type than where he was going initially. We talked about Vlad a little bit. We might as well just kind of dive in here. We could talk about Bo, but why? Vlad has 2 home runs. He's hitting 272, 373, 388. He has a 17.5% K rate, which is the worst strikeout rate since his rookie year. He does couple that with a 13% walk rate, which is the best of his career. The numbers look pretty normal for him in regards to hard hit, average exit velocity. His launch angle 7, which isn't really abnormal for him. He was a 7.4 last year. Are you concerned with Vlad, or is this just the normal, Vlad experience where he doesn't hit home runs and then eventually he finds it? Kind of Juan Soto-esque. We get very similar stuff from both of them.
Yeah, I think with Vlad from now on, like in the preseason, I'm going to rank him where I think he should go, and then I'm going to subtract 2 rounds every year. That's what I'm going to do, because it's just like, I mean, this is like the 4th season in a row where it's like, yeah, Vlad Jr. is going to be great. I'm taking him 12th overall. And it's like, you get a month in and he's got 2 homers and he's hitting 270. And you're like, what am I doing, man? Have I lost my mind? What are we expecting? Like his high in steals is 8. And most years he steals like between 2 and 5. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we ranking him so high? I'm speaking to myself here. Like, I don't know, man. I was completely out on him in drafts, just like where I fell in drafts. I was just never really in on him. I have him in one league. I have him in our RCL league, and that's because I think I had the 12th pick overall, so I took him. But I mean, obviously, I should have took Corbin Carroll. Actually, I did take Corbin Carroll. That's why I'm doing well in that league. I took Corbin Carroll and Vlad Jr. at I think 12, 13. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think we are overrating Vlad now, going on like 4 years. I mean, he was good last year, but it was still like at the end of the day, it was 30 homers, 2 steals, and he had a good average. Okay, so what? I mean, yeah, he hit 323. I mean, that helps fantasy value, but still, like, he's a 30 homer hitter with maybe 5 steals, and then roughly anywhere from a 275 average to a 330 average. I mean, it's like probably should be ranked around 40 overall. I don't know what I was thinking, putting him at like 12 overall.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna start ranking him next to Teoscar Hernandez every year. That feels pretty on point for where he actually belongs.
That's a good comp. Yeah, totally. Like Vlad is a 30 homer, potentially 310 hitter, and Teoscar is a 30 homer, 265 hitter. But Vlad could hit 275, and Teoscar has a lot more power. So yeah, you're right. I mean, Vlad Jr. or Teoscar is a perfect comp. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little speed from Teoscar. You're not getting any from Vlad. So yeah, I mean, a little trade-off here or there, but like Teoscar consistently goes 40, 50, 60, and Vlad goes back into the first, second round. And again, I'm not saying I don't rank him there or put him there, but why? Why do we? Because he had a great average. I understand, like he had a great average last year, but again, if you owned him to start the season, you were pulling your hair out because he was awful to begin last year too. He hit like 220 for a month and a half, and then he hit like 300 the rest of the way out. But it's so much when you're betting on average, and he doesn't have 50 home run power. Like the only time he ever showed that was in the minor league stadium with the bouncy, like the second bounciest ball we've ever seen, which isn't likely to repeat itself. So let's go through the name here. I'm going to start low, Gray, and maybe this is disrespectful. Vlad or Ben Rice?
Vlad.
Okay. Vlad or Michael Busch?
Vlad.
Vlad or Tyler Soderstrom?
I think actually I'd go Soderstrom.
I think I'm going Soderstrom as well. And I don't really know what Vlad's going to give you that he can't at this point, other than maybe average. Freddie Freeman or Vlad?
I'm actually going Vlad.
Yeah, and I think I'd put Freeman below Soderstrom at least, and maybe even Michael Busch if these injuries keep piling up. Matt Olson or Vlad?
I'm going Matt Olson.
Okay. So it does seem like Vlad's dropped a few spots for both of us from draft season, and I think next draft season we might be the low ones on Vlad if we stick to our guns and keep him in that Teoscar range, Gray. All right, Gray. This one's gonna hurt me to talk about because this is my boy, Matt McLain. 4 home runs, 3 stolen bases. He's hitting a grand total of 157, 280, 343. He has a 33% K rate and a 13.5% walk rate. I mean, 13.5% walk rate is nice. Not coupled with the 33% K rate, though. He does have a career best hard hit, average exit velocity, and barrel rate. 179 BABIP does mean there's maybe some room for improvement, but the 53.5% fly ball rate stands out when we're looking at the numbers, Gray. He did start the season okay, had a hamstring, and he's been really bad since then.
For people who are wondering how we ended up coming to speak about Matt McLain, I put him on the outline for the podcast just to get Pete Dunn upset.
Yeah, I know why he's here, Gray. It's fine. I'm actually still believing in him. I think he's just still a little banged up. But the 179 BABIP also. You tell people what you think, Gray. That's what they want to know. They already know I love Matt McLain.
I'm a terrible person.
Also, he added like 5 minutes before the show starts. He's like, "Oh yeah, I added some things. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, great." Matt McLain, great.
And Matt McLain, just to have you get upset. I'm so bad. Why am I a bad person? I think he's been pretty unlucky. The K's are out of control right now for him, which is not a great sign. But it's also like, what is it, 70 at bats, and his BABIP is 179. And you mentioned the hard hit. So, I honestly think he's probably in a deeper league, he's probably a buy low, but also like the injury history has to be taken into consideration. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I probably would buy low in a deeper league, but in a shallower league, he's probably on the cusp of, like in some of these leagues, like, people are like, oh, Christian Campbell's on waivers in some people's leagues. So it's like in leagues like that, it's like, well, take Campbell and drop Matt McLain. But it depends on the league, obviously. But I do think he should be better, at least better than what he's been.
Yeah, no, I agree. He should be better than what he's been. Been a little unlucky. He's still hitting the ball hard. And I guess the other part is second base is still kind of ugly. You can find people to fill in, like you mentioned, but at some point you're just kind of like, I'll just start Matt McLain because at least he can hit a home run and steal a base. Because at second base, there's not a lot of people that do a ton of that. I think better things are to come, Gray. Thanks for throwing him on there. I'm going to make you go through the names since you put him on here, Gray. Would you rather have Matt McLain or Luis Reyes?
I would go Reyes.
Okay, I would go McLain. Glaber or McLain?
McLain.
Tyler Fitzgerald's hot streak or Matt McLain?
I'd probably go Fitzgerald.
Okay, I'll go McLain there, but hey, that's fine. Andres Jimenez, equally cold streak or Matt McLain?
I'd probably go McLain.
Yeah, I am too. At least he's getting on base. How about Kyron Paris?
Oh my God!
Remember him? Remember that guy we talked about 2 weeks ago?
Kyron Paris, who is the world's #1 breakout in from March 30th through April 6th. People will fall for the Tuffy roads every single time without fail.
He hasn't had a hit since April 16th now.
Yeah. I'll go McLain.
Yeah. But McLain or Christian Campbell, who are you talking about?
I'll go Christian Campbell.
Okay. That one's close for me. I would, if Christian Campbell's available, I'd probably just go ahead and swap him and start Christian Campbell for now. If you have to trade, that's closer for me. And Matt McLain or Albies. I'm assuming you're going to go Albies.
Yeah, I'll go Albies.
All right, Gray. I think we've covered a lot there in regards to some of the players who have started slow and not gotten off to great starts, and some who did. There's a good amount of value talk that we covered there. Let's go ahead and move on to the bullpens and sagging off this up, Gray. We've talked about Cleveland every single week on this podcast. Class A now dealing with shoulder discomfort, getting some rest. Are you picking up Cade Smith across the board?
Yeah, I think the Guardians really want Class A to be the closer. So that's the only thing really stopping Cade Smith from being a top 5 closer. I think Cade Smith is just like he could be what you thought you were getting from Class A. Unfortunately, I do think they want Class A to be the closer. So that's going to hurt Cade Smith in the long run when it comes to saves. But Cade Smith's the type that you should just roster him anyway. I mean, he's so valuable that it doesn't even matter really that if he's getting saves or not.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead and pick him up. He's been great. And Class A is struggling. I agree that they probably want Class A to be the guy. They are paying him, and Cade Smith is still in pre-arbitration, so they definitely don't want to rack up the money on Cade Smith, it being Cleveland and all. But grab him for now, and again, he's fine just to throw out there week after week. Over in Detroit, they seem to be mixing things up. Tommy Conley seemed like the guy. He struggled a little bit. Will Vest now may be the guy. Tyler Holton's still there as well. Who do you want in Detroit right now, Gray?
I would go with Vest. He looks great. I think he's he's potentially a top 10 closer if they keep going to him. Like his stuff looks amazing. So yeah, I would go him for sure. And I probably wouldn't speculate beyond him unless it was like, a deep enough league where it made sense.
Yeah, I mean, speculating on Detroit saves, probably not a huge winning gamble. Conley and Holton and Vest have all been good, so kind of in that same thought process as we were talking about Cade Smith, you could potentially roster them all just to get some ratios and strikeouts. But if you're chasing saves specifically because it's a shallower league, yeah, I think Vest is your guy. And maybe you can hold Conley because it's not like Conley's been bad. He just had a little bit of a bump in the road, and they've kind of gone back and forth. Over in San Francisco, Camilo Doval finally got a save, and Ryan Walker has had a couple of struggles. Do you see this going to some kind of committee, or do you think Doval's the guy, or is it still Walker's job?
Actually, both of them have been pretty terrible. I think Doval is the closer right now, though. It's so weird because like Walker was so good last year. I don't know what happened with him, but yeah, Doval's underlying stats look terrible. Like they don't look good, but he actually has been getting the saves. So I would go Doval, but I wouldn't trust that necessarily to keep staying like that. But yeah, I would go Doval right now.
Yep, I'd grab Doval for saves right now. I think picking up Tyler Rogers wouldn't be a bad move either. He's been the best reliever in the bullpen so far. I know that they generally seem like they don't ever want to make Tyler Rogers the closer, but if the other two falter, if Camilo jumps back to what his numbers say he should be, and Ryan Walker continues to struggle, eventually I feel like they're just going to have to throw Tyler Rogers in there. And again, he's been pristine this year. Over in New York, Gray, Devin Williams is finally out as the closer. He's been terrible. They're saying that he has, a little bit of a injury thing. What's your thoughts here in New York, and who do you want?
It's tough because this is like very similar to the Guardian situation, whereas I think Luke Weaver could be a top 5 closer, but I do think they also want Devin Williams to be the closer because like that's just the way I think their minds work. Like personally, I would just have Luke Weaver close. Devin Williams has had success as a setup man before, behind Josh Hader earlier in his career. So I would be fine doing that, but I think the Yankees want Devin Williams to close. So I would, but again, similar to Cade Smith, I would have like Luke Weaver's worth rostering in every league, whether or not he's getting saves. But I do think Luke Weaver right now will be getting saves for the foreseeable future. Maybe it could be a week. It could be a month. It's hard to say.
Yeah. We'll see what happens in regards to when he gets kind of the job back, or if he does. I don't know that I agree it's that they want Devin Williams as much as like Cleveland wants Class A, just because Williams, Weaver are both free agents after this year. They're not really committed to either of them. So I think at some point it's just going to become who's going to get the job done. I think if Devin Williams can figure out what was wrong, he's the best pitcher there and not particularly close. But until it gets fixed, I don't see any reason why they would necessarily force Williams back in the role. So a little agree to disagree there. Over in Pittsburgh, Gray, David Bednar, I guess, is back in the closer role. Kind of went from elite closer to terrible, and are we back to elite closer again? Or is he split with Dennis Santana's there, Caleb Ferguson's there, Ryan Borucki still hanging around? What's your thoughts?
You're just saying at that point you're just saying names. Borucki. Borucki. I think Bednar is the closer. I think I think he had his struggles, and I think they were like they were hesitant to remove him for a long time. Then they sent him down. It seems like he got right again, and they brought him back to be the closer again. Like if he's up with the team, he's the closer. So I would go Bednar, and I honestly, even in my shallowest league, our RCL league, which is a 12-team mixed league, I dropped Dennis Santana already. So it's like Bednar seems to be the closer.
Yeah, he does, and the numbers don't look great on Bednar. It was 2 outings to begin the season. Funny enough, both at Miami, so maybe just don't start him against Miami in those series. But he's been fine since then. He hasn't allowed an earned run. So yeah, I think it's Bednar for the time being. Over in Miami, we thought maybe it was Anthony Bender. He struggled. It seems like it's now moved to maybe Calvin Fauché. What do you think?
I'm on Saturdays. I'm on TV with Craig Mish, and he's been saying Tinoco since March. He thinks that's who the Marlins want to get saves. So I would probably go Tinoco if I really were desperate for saves. The Marlins it's not necessarily a great situation to try and get saves. It's kind of like the Marlins, the Rockies, and the White Sox. It's like, how bad do you really want saves, kind of, but I would go Tinoco if I were really desperate. That would be the guy. I wouldn't mess with any of the other ones.
Okay, I mean, I would go ahead and add Fauché as well, just because he has gotten the last save, I believe. So it seems like he's in that mix as well. But yeah, I mean, Tinoco looks solid. If you've got some information, Gray, I suppose we should heed that information. All right, great. Moving on. How about you give the people some waiver wire bats they can look at?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Jordan Beck had a 3-homer day in a doubleheader, 2 homers and then a homer. And then I believe he followed it up with another homer. So he had a huge week. But also Rockies players or any players in Coors, they're going to be better in Coors. So this comes with a caveat. I do like Jordan Beck, but let's see how he looks outside of Coors. Now, I know the doubleheader was outside of Coors, so he did start his hot streak outside of Coors. But anyway, Jordan Beck, he had a good couple games. Nove Marte had a good week. One of those games he had that was good, though, he homered off of a position player. So again, I don't know. Andy Pages, he actually might be breaking out. I like him a lot. He's in a great lineup. He's a Dodger outfielder. Great lineup. Has been hitting well. He's actually even moved up in that lineup. I think he was hitting 6th, maybe. No, he's not going to move up much higher than that because they do have a lot of bats. But he's looked good. Jorge Polanco has been hot. I don't think it's anything beyond that. I think he's probably hot, and that's about it. But he was hot. T-Mobile isn't the best place to be hitting. So, take it with a grain of salt. Eli White has been hot. I think the Braves go to Coors, I think. Anyway, J.P. Crawford has been hot. Again, that's Seattle, so be careful there. Andrew McCutcheon's been hot. Wilmer Flores has gotten hot again. He had a really good April. Drew Waters has been hot. Rob Refschneider's been hot. Gavin Lux has actually had he's had a pretty solid season. He's been more or less just like a hit guy, though, batting average guy, not really power or speed, but he's been hot for that. Connor Norby's gotten hot. I loved him in the preseason. If he stays hot again for another week, maybe we'll discuss him even further. And Max Kepler has started to get hot. He's in a good lineup. He could potentially, there could be some value there. So I would look at him as well. There you go.
All right. I'll give the people some streamers you look at. Brice Olson's still available in your league. Go ahead and scoop him up. He's got at Houston and at the Angels. JP Sears at Texas, at Miami. Eduardo Rodriguez at the Mets and at Philly. Griffin Canning at St. Louis. Matthew Boyd at Pittsburgh. Justin Verlander versus Colorado. Andrew Abbott versus St. Louis. Tanner Hawk at Toronto. And Eric Fetty at the Mets. There's some streamers for you. If you have specific questions, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at RazBeaton. Gray runs the at Razzball account. You can find us on youtube.com/Razzball Fantasy or on Razzball.com in the comments section. Hopefully you set your lineups well, got all your fab bids in, and won them all. And hopefully you all have a great week. Talk to you later, Gray.
All right, lates.